art of holiday entertaining. QFC, the art of food.
What we try to do is, find a vacuum to fit everybody's needs. We carry all the brands, have over 200 models on display. The people we have here are trained in this field. They're not selling sofas one day and toasters the next day. This is what they do, and this is the only thing we do.
Now at Stark's, buy the Dirt Devil Easy Steamer for only $129 and get the Dirt Devil Mop Vac free.
So, do you vacuum at home?
I vacuum a lot here, not much at home.
Now yours to own on VHS and DVD. The movie that shocked you will blow you away. With unbelievable bonus footage, too shocking to show you on TV.
I'm trying to watch a movie in here.
Scary movie.
We understand that quality furniture isn't something you buy every day, so we help you put together a plan for your home furnishings. Thomasville, high-quality, affordable furniture for the way we live today. Thomasville, furniture for living, furniture for life.
It's Sleep Country's $99 mattress event. Right now, selected Simmons, Sealy, Spring Air, and Pacific mattresses are just $99 each piece when you buy the complete set. Need a quality twin? $99 each piece. How about a roomy full? It's the same great price. Comfy queen size? Yep, just $99 each piece. Even king-size mattress sets are just $99 each piece, but only during the $99 mattress event at Sleep Country USA.
Bye-bye a mattress anywhere else.
Tonight's primetime programming on Coin TV 6 is brought to you by Verizon.
This is a CBS News special report. Continuing coverage of Campaign 2000, the final decision. Reporting from CBS News election headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening again. George Bush, the son of a former president, is about to address the nation for the first time as president-elect in his own right. This comes 1 hour after Vice President Al Gore officially brought an end to his presidential campaign, conceding the election to Bush and in a gracious address asking the American people to unite behind the new president-elect. Now, Governor Bush will be speaking tonight from the House chamber of the beautiful Texas State Capitol building in Austin. This is a live picture of the president-elect arriving with his wife, Laura. An aide says that Bush is well aware that this is the most important speech he has ever given, an attempt to begin healing a nation divided by a long and bitter election campaign, then a long and bitter post-election campaign, and then a long and bitter battle through the courts, culminating with the United States Supreme Court for the first time in that court's history, in effect, selecting a president of the United States. As a symbol of unity, Bush is being introduced to the nation tonight by the highest-ranking Democrat in Texas, Pete Laney, Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives. Tomorrow, the president-elect will attend a worship service in Austin, and he will travel to Washington early next week to make a courtesy call on President Clinton and Vice President Gore. Speaker Laney approaches the microphone, and we will pick him up for his introduction of the president-elect.
Welcome to the Texas House of Representatives chamber. It was about this time, about 6 years ago, that we were preparing to inaugurate a new governor in Texas. Many of us wondered what kind of leader he would be. We wondered how he would bring everybody together after a hard-fought election. Tonight, many people in our country are asking the same questions about George W. Bush. When he became governor, he reached out to members of the legislature of both parties. We didn't always agree on issues, but we found we could have policy differences without having gridlock. We could have debate without bitterness, and we could reach agreements and solve problems without sacrificing our principles. Above all, we learned that Governor Bush is a leader you can trust and respect. It's my honor to introduce to you a man who has earned my trust and respect, the Governor of Texas, my friend, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, my fellow Americans. I appreciate so very much the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Mr. Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, friends, distinguished guests, our country has been through a long and trying period, with the outcome of the presidential election not finalized for longer than any of us could ever imagine. Vice President Gore and I put our hearts and hopes into our campaigns. We both gave it our all. We shared similar emotions, so I understand how difficult this moment must be for Vice President Gore and his family. He has a distinguished record of service to our country as a congressman, a senator, and a vice president. This evening I received a gracious call from the vice president. We agreed to meet early next week in Washington, and we agreed to do our best to heal our country after this hard-fought contest. Tonight I want to thank all the thousands of volunteers and campaign workers who worked so hard on my behalf. I also salute the vice president and his supporters for waging a spirited campaign. And I thank him for a call that I know was difficult to make. Laura and I wish the Vice President and Senator Lieberman and their families the very best. I have a lot to be thankful for tonight. I'm thankful for America, and thankful that we are able to resolve our electoral differences in a peaceful way. I'm thankful to the American people for the great privilege of being able to serve as your next president. I want to thank my wife and our daughters for their love. Laura's active involvement as First Lady has made Texas a better place, and she will be a wonderful First Lady of America. I am proud to have Dick Cheney by my side, and America will be proud to have him as our next vice president. Tonight I chose to speak from the chamber of the Texas House of Representatives because it has been a home to bipartisan cooperation. Here in a place where Democrats have the majority, Republicans and Democrats have worked together to do what is right for the people we represent. We've had spirited disagreements, and in the end, we found constructive consensus. It is an experience I will always carry with me, an example I will always follow. I want to thank my friend House Speaker Pete Laney, a Democrat, who introduced me today. I want to thank the legislators from both political parties with whom I've worked. Across the hall in our Texas Capitol is the state Senate. And I cannot help but think of our mutual friend, the former Democrat Lieutenant Governor Bob Bullock. His love for Texas and his ability to work in a bipartisan way continue to be a model for all of us. The spirit of cooperation I have seen in this hall is what is needed in Washington, D.C. It is the challenge of our moment. After a difficult election, we must put politics behind us and work together to make the promise of America available for every one of our citizens. I'm optimistic that we can change the tone in Washington, D.C. I believe things happen for a reason. And I hope the long wait of the last 5 weeks will heighten a desire to move beyond the bitterness and partisanship of the recent past.
Our nation must rise above a house divided. Americans share hopes and goals and values far more important than any political disagreements. Republicans want the best for our nation, and so do Democrats. Our votes may differ, but not our hopes. I know America wants reconciliation and unity. I know Americans want progress, and we must seize this moment and deliver. Together, guided by a spirit of common sense, common courtesy, and common goals, we can unite and inspire the American citizens. Together, we will work to make all our public schools excellent, teaching every student of every background and every accent so that no child is left behind. Together, we will save Social Security and renew its promise of a secure retirement for generations to come. Together, we will strengthen Medicare and offer prescription drug coverage to all of our seniors. Together, we will give Americans the broad, fair, and fiscally responsible tax relief they deserve. Together, we will have a bipartisan foreign policy, true to our values and true to our friends. And we will have a military equal to every challenge and superior to every adversary. Together, we will address some of society's deepest problems, one person at a time, by encouraging and empowering the good hearts and good works of the American people. This is the essence of compassionate conservatism, and it will be a foundation of my administration. These priorities are not merely Republican concerns or Democratic concerns. They are American responsibilities. During the fall campaign, we differed about the details of these proposals, but there was remarkable consensus about the important issues before us: excellent schools, retirement and health security, tax relief, a strong military, a more civil society. We have discussed our differences. Now it is time to find common ground and build consensus to make America a beacon of opportunity in the 21st century. I'm optimistic this can happen. Our future demands it, and our history proves it. 200 years ago, in the election of 1800, America faced another close presidential election. A tie in the Electoral College put the outcome into the hands of Congress. After 6 days of voting and 36 ballots, the House of Representatives elected Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. That election brought the first transfer of power from one party to another in our new democracy. Shortly after the election, Jefferson, in a letter titled Reconciliation and Reform, wrote this: "The steady character of our countrymen is a rock to which we may safely moor. Unequivocal in principle, reasonable in manner, we should be able to hope to do a great deal of good to the cause of freedom and harmony." 200 years have only strengthened the steady character of America. And so as we begin the work of healing our nation, tonight I call upon that character: respect for each other, respect for our differences, generosity of spirit, and a willingness to work hard and work together to solve any problem. I have something else to ask you, to ask every American. I ask for you to pray for this great nation. I ask for your prayers for leaders from both parties. I thank you for your prayers for me and my family. And I ask you to pray for Vice President Gore and his family. I have faith that with God's help, we as a nation will move forward together as one nation, indivisible. And together we will create an America that is open, so every citizen has access to the American dream. An America that is educated, so every child has the keys to realize that dream. And an America that is united in our diversity and our shared American values that are larger than race or party. I was not elected to serve one party, but to serve one nation. The President of the United States is the President of every single American, of every race and every background. Whether you voted for me or not, I will do my best to serve your interests, and I will work to earn your respect. I will be guided by President Jefferson's sense of purpose, to stand for principle, to be reasonable in manner, and above all, to do great good for the cause of freedom and harmony. The presidency is more than an honor. It is more than an office. It is a charge to keep, and I will give it my all. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
The president-elect in the House chamber of the state capital of Texas with his wife at his side. We're told his two daughters were not to be in the audience tonight. That silver thing just over his right shoulder is, you may recognize, a teleprompter, which if you're saying to yourself, well, why did he turn side to side so much? No one can say that with any certainty, except that when you have this kind of teleprompter help on either side, which is very common for candidates of both parties, there is a tendency to turn toward the teleprompter side to side. A strong speech, strongly delivered, confidently delivered by the new president, who has said repeatedly he doesn't consider making speeches a particularly strong point. He doesn't consider it a weak point. In the office of the presidency, one, of course, gets a lot of practice with speeches. As it was advertised by his aides beforehand, a speech that emphasized the president-elect's desire to reach across party lines, reach consensus, and, as they put it, move forward. Our chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer, is with us again. Bob, did, in your judgment, Bush's speech measure up to what he needed to do and to the speech Al Gore gave a little earlier tonight?
Well, I thought it was a very good speech, Dan, and in a funny kind of way, it is the kind of speech that those of us who have followed George Bush's career over the years heard him make before this presidential campaign. A much different tone. He talked about reaching out. Everything about this speech was about reaching out. Now, having said that, he's really going to have to reach out because it's really going to be very hard. I called up the constitutional scholar Robert Bork today, and I was asking him, did he think the fact that the Supreme Court ruled the way it did in any way was going to put some kind of a cloud over the presidency, somehow make it seem that this presidency was done on a technicality? And he said, Bob, it was going to be so hard anyway for George Bush to get anything done. I don't think that would make any difference. But having said that, let's hope he succeeds. It will be the best thing for the country. And I thought it was the right tone and the right kind of speech to make tonight.
Indeed. Thanks, Bob. And for a look at what's immediately ahead for President-elect Bush after he's made this address tonight, we go to Austin and correspondent Bill Whitaker. Bill?
Dan, Mr. Bush sees his meeting with Vice President Al Gore next Tuesday in Washington, D.C. as the first step in his effort to unite the country. He also hopes to meet with President Bill Clinton. Now, he knows that he's taking the helm of a very divided country. One of his advisors told us today that he knows it is a daunting task, one that will require all of his personal and political skills. Dan?
Bill Whitaker. George Bush campaigned as a, quote, uniter, not a divider, after this hard campaign and brutal legal fight. Can he do it? We'll look at that question and more when we return, so stay right here with us.
One day, everyone in the world, no matter where they live in the world, will be able to invest in any company in the world. Trading will transcend international borders, transpiring with an ease and speed and economy that can only be imagined today. Where is the technology that will take us there? Technology that will open the wonders of the internet to all, connecting every investor in the world to every wired country in the world. There is a place where this technology is now taking shape, already laying the groundwork for a vast new world of investing. NASDAQ, stock market for the digital world.
Chris was like my shadow. She was always there. For 3 years, she'd drive down from her job at Kraft to tutor me. My grades went way up.
For 40 years, the Philip Morris companies, including Kraft, have given to programs like Chicago's Off the Street Club, and our employees have volunteered their time to help make a difference in people's lives.
When she left to have a baby, I told her I hoped she'd have a daughter. She already did a great job helping to raise a son.
Working to make a difference, the people of Philip Morris.
Want to start a family?
Right now?
I just got supplemental insurance.
What's that?
Aflac. Well, if we get sick, our health insurance won't cover things like lost pay or other expenses. This does.
What's it called?
Aflac. I don't know.
Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
This Wednesday and Thursday at Sears, beat the weekend crowds and save. These quarter-carat diamond stud earrings are now at our lowest price ever, just $39.99. This Wednesday and Thursday only, so hurry. This is no time to fool around. Give the good life. Sears.
Governor Bush is now President-elect Bush, and an extraordinary chapter in American history draws to, if not a close, at least a pause. Just an hour ago, Vice President Gore ended his long-fought battle for the White House with a speech from the old Executive Office building in Washington. Here is some of what the conceding Vice President had to say.
I say to President-elect Bush that what remains of partisan rancor must now be put aside, and may God bless his stewardship of this country. Neither he nor I anticipated this long and difficult road. Certainly neither of us wanted it to happen. Yet it came, and now it has ended, resolved as it must be resolved through the honored institutions of our democracy. Now the U.S. Supreme Court has spoken. Let there be no doubt, while I strongly disagree with the court's decision, I accept it. I accept the finality of this outcome, which will be ratified next Monday in the Electoral College. And tonight, for the sake of our unity as a people and the strength of our democracy, I offer my concession. I know that many of my supporters are disappointed. I am too. But our disappointment must be overcome by our love of country. President-elect Bush inherits a nation whose citizens will be ready to assist him in the conduct of his large responsibilities. I personally will be at his disposal, and I call on all Americans. I particularly urge all who stood with us to unite behind our next president.
Al Gore, magnanimous in defeat earlier tonight. Both Vice President Gore and President-elect Bush struck a hopeful, conciliatory tone tonight to try and bridge the partisan divide. A lot of people say that that's going to be much easier said than done. About that, joining us, one of the Senate Democrats the new president will seek to work with, Charles Schumer of New York. Thanks for being with us, Senator.
Glad to be here, Dan.
What are the chances, in your judgment, that George Bush will appoint a Democrat to, say, Secretary of Treasury, one of the premier cabinet spots?
Well, I think they're pretty good. I think George Bush set exactly the right tone. So did Al Gore. Just as the American people are sort of tired of this partisan, one party hits the other party hits back, so is the Congress, and so is Washington. There's a real desire to get something done and work in a bipartisan way. One of the best ways that George Bush could signal that is by appointing some prominent Democrats to major positions in the cabinet. That's been a tradition in America. Kennedy appointed Douglas Dillon as Treasury Secretary, a leading Republican back in 1960. That's been lost, and I hope it can be regained.
If President-elect Bush were here and he said, Senator, help me out, I want to know how to get this done, what would you tell him?
What I'd tell him is to immediately in his term not only put some Democrats in the cabinet, but right away invite some of the Democratic leaders and some of the Democratic senators and Congress members to the White House as president-elect. I'd say, ask us, the kinds of things that we think we can work together on. There are some issues that are going to divide us, but there are many that we can work together on. And by starting early and reaching out and simply asking, which I think is George Bush's nature, he can set the right tone right from the start.
And what about those in the other party who say to themselves, oh, fine for George Bush to talk as a centrist, but we have some core agenda items that we're determined to get through?
Yeah, well, both parties are going to have to make choices. There are extreme ends of either party that would rather not compromise. But I think the message of this election was clear as a bell, Dan. The American people hit the bullseye. They took dead aim and they said, we're tired. We're not going to let either party left to its own devices. In other words, we're worried Democrats would drift too far to the left if they had sole power. Republicans would drift too far to the right. Why not work together? And that's the message, and I hope, and this first speech was a good indication of that George Bush will follow that message. Yes, it will take some courage for him to tell those in the extreme right of his party that they can't call all the shots. It will also take some courage for Democrats to join with Bush. I hope both sides will summon that courage.
Well, you don't have much time left here, Senator, in this section, but you said, well, there's some issues that are just irreconcilable. What's first among those in your judgment?
Well, I guess for different people, there are different ones. I mean, the issue of choice pretty much divides the parties, although there's a little bit of overlap. The issue of gun control divides the parties, although there is some overlap. But on issues like education, on issues like preserving Social Security, on issues like health care, I think there's a great deal of overlap and we could make progress. And those happen to be the issues that both campaigns focused on in the election.
Senator Schumer, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Dan.
CBS News special Washington correspondent Gloria Borger has been working the phones with the Bush camp all day. Gloria, are they ready to hit the ground running to set up a Bush administration, or is it going to take a while longer?
I think they are ready to hit the ground running, Dan, and I think they also understand that one of their first tests may not just be how they behave with Democrats like Chuck Schumer, but how they behave with their own Republicans. Obviously, there's a very conservative caucus, particularly running the House of Representatives. Tom DeLay, one of the leaders of the House of Representatives, he said, look, this is the first time we've controlled the Congress and the White House in 50 years, and we want a conservative agenda. So George Bush is going to have to make a very strategic decision, and that is, does he have a discussion with Tom DeLay, and does he say, look, I think we need to sit down with Democrats because we need to achieve something early. There are areas they can work on, education reform, Medicare reform, prescription drug benefits for seniors. Those are areas that Democrats want to work with George W. Bush on right away.
Gloria Borger, thanks. And so we come to the end of an extraordinary chapter in American history. After a long and bitter post-election battle for the White House, George Bush tonight officially became president-elect as Vice President Gore delivered a generous concession speech and called for the nation to unite behind its new president. Bush will be sworn in just 38 days, only the second time in American history that the son of a former president will become this country's chief executive. The Adams family contained the others. In his address to the nation tonight, President-elect Bush echoed Vice President Gore's call for unity and an end to the bitter partisanship of the past 5 weeks. Bush and Gore will meet in Washington next week for the first time since the debates this fall. Bush will also pay a courtesy call on President Clinton at the White House. And tomorrow, the General Services Administration will turn over the keys of the official transition office to the incoming Bush administration. There'll be much more about this on your late local news and tomorrow on the early show, and of course on the CBS Evening News tomorrow evening. Dan Rather, reporting from CBS News World and Election Headquarters in New York. Campaign 2000 is history. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
This is CBS.